given by Congress, hey, get your act together. Congress doesn't tell the state of Georgia, hey, this is how you have to go about setting up the procedural mechanism for your determination about having a final conclusive result of your judicial challenges. But every state can take its actions or take no actions. The state of Georgia set up whatever procedure it's set up. One thing we do know here is that the state of Georgia, there was a pending challenge to the presidential election of 2020, timely filed on December the 4th, and the state of Georgia did not, pursuant to this law, did not reach have a final determination of those controversies, or in this case, this lawsuit. We know that, and because of that, because of what happened, then the state of Georgia then loses its ability to make a conclusive determination about which electors are to be counted in Congress. Once they did that, doesn't matter, candidly, how many times the governor of Georgia certified the results of the election or the recount, whatever. What does matter, and what only matters, is that there was a pending lawsuit in this courthouse, in this county, challenging that election, and that by December the 8th, it was not adjudicated. It was not finalized. And because of that, then what happens is the state of Georgia loses its ability to make a conclusive determination about how the electors' votes are going to be counted in Congress on January the 6th.
But the state still plays a role, does it not? I mean, isn't the governor's certification supposed to be the tiebreaker when Congress is making its consideration?
We're going to get to that, but I'll jump ahead. And the tiebreaker only comes when this happens. If there is, for example, the governor did certify, we all know that, and we all know that the state of Georgia didn't get its act together, didn't have a final adjudication, loses its ability to say that is the certificate of our governor and it is conclusive. It wasn't under federal law.
It may not be conclusive, but aren't there still things happening in the state that matter?
Well, certainly, but the only thing that matters as it relates to this federal law, the only thing that matters is they didn't get their act done and get an adjudication in time. So what happens? What happens after that? We're jumping a little ahead of my PowerPoint, but that's just fine. I think we all know what's in the PowerPoints. But what happens is that once they don't get their act together by December the 8th, then all bets about the conclusive nature of the governor's certification go away. But what doesn't go away, the governor's still certified. And what has to happen then is electors have to vote on December the 14th. Now, if there is a question about who the electors are, and this is critical, Your Honor, this is critical. By not getting their act together, by not having a final adjudication, the carrot that Congress gave the state of Georgia and all the other states, if you get your act together by safe harbor date, then and only then do you get the final call on who the electors would be. But they didn't. Because of that, then all of the Democratic electors and the Republican electors are in effect all at that time contingent electors, because there is no certainty about who or which slate will be selected under federal law. And as we know, what happens is that once that safe harbor date passes, then the issue, and now we're getting kind of over into section 15 of the ECA, but once you get over into there, then the 2020 version tells us what steps are taken to make a final determination about what electoral slates will be decided. You're right. A lot of things are happening in the state. A lot of let's go over things that could have happened that didn't happen. For example, there could have been an adjudication after safe harbor on the pending election. Of course, that would not have been definitive and conclusive as it relates to the safe harbor date. The power has still shifted over to Congress. But had there been an adjudication of the lawsuit itself after the safe harbor date, then certainly the adjudicator, and this is critical here, the adjudicator is Congress, not the state of Georgia. So the adjudicator, Congress, could then say, well, here we have a certification from the governor of Georgia, and we have a result in a lawsuit. Let's just say, hypothetically, had there been, and parenthetically, there was never an adjudication by a court on the lawsuit. It was never addressed at any point. But that's somewhat tangential to the issue about whether or not what Congress can do with information. They are the adjudicator under the 2020 law, and what they can do is the following. They could sit there and they could go, well, now we know that the lawsuit was dismissed or was adjudicated against President Trump and David Schaefer. Okay, if that's the case, they can consider that. It's not conclusive. It's not definitive. They can consider that in making their determinations about what they're going to do. Or, for example, if on the other hand, the lawsuit was adjudicated in favor of President Trump and David Schaefer, then Congress could then look at those facts as an adjudicator and make a determination about whether or not they should choose the Democratic slate that had been previously sent up by the governor, or by the Republican slate that had been sent in. So then and only then. But what happens in Congress is the following, and we all know it was a somewhat, and this is important consideration, Your Honor. This is a process set up by Congress. The whole ECA is a process in order to make sure that it can be done in an appropriate way that's approved by Congress, because they have the power to delegate. Approved by Congress, and the whole process involved the safe harbor date, the whole process involved this December 14th meetings, the whole process involved everything that happened after December the 14th, upon which the adjudicator, Congress, could make a determination. So let's just say up it goes to Congress, and as we know, the procedure at the time in the 2020 was as follows. What was the procedure? Well, here we go. Were there objections filed by a senator or a House of Representative regarding the election? If there are appropriate objections filed, then the Senate goes and votes, and the House goes and votes. Let's just say that the House goes, well, we think that it's the Democratic slate. Okay? And then the Senate says, we think it was the Democratic slate. They agree. Once they agree, it's done. They agree, and it's the Democratic slate. However, the law in 2020 says that if the Senate and the House of Representatives disagree about which slate of electors would be received, then there is not an agreement between the houses of Congress, and then and only then does Congress in its power go back to the governor of Georgia and say, okay, tell us again, which one did you certify? And he says the Democratic slate, and that would be it. The point of all this is that at the time of the of the meeting on December the 14th